This is on Chapter 2, our Values and Ethics in Social Work. This is probably one of the most critical aspects for us as a profession. I'm referring to the PowerPoint slides that you all now have in D2L, so I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about those. Basically, our mission is to help individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities to prevent or resolve problems in social or psychological functioning, meet basic human needs, achieve life-enhancing goals, and create a just society. That's pretty big, but that is our mission. We also seek to empower people, identify and build on strengths. It's important to note that in social work, we always maintain this dual focus of both the social environment and psychological functioning. You have a copy of the Nsw Code of Ethics, and you all were able to successfully access that and complete your assignment on the issues related to immigration. You did a great job on that assignment. Please listen to the audio if I was able to record it. About half of y'all have an audio feedback from me, and the other half just have the written comments. But our values and ethics basically have 6 core values, which include service, social justice, dignity and worth of all persons, the importance of human relationships, integrity, and competence. And the code outlines the importance of each one of those. As you look at the Code of Ethics organizationally, there are also 6 areas in which we have ethical standards that are actually stated. And this is kind of the social work Bible, if you will, that we refer to. It includes our responsibilities to our clients. That's the one that we primarily think of, but the other 5 areas include to our colleagues, to practice settings, as social work professionals, to the social work profession, and to the general welfare of society. So all of our standards fall under one of those 6 areas. I always remind students, if you look at the one on clients, don't have sex with your clients. It's very clear, it's spelled out in there, don't do it. Then we also have value-driven practice behaviors. So the Code of Ethics kind of forms our foundation, and then based on that, they drive our practice behaviors. These are things like self-determination, empowerment, and confidentiality. Self-determination is one of the hardest values for social workers or practice behaviors. Basically, it means allowing clients to make their own decisions. We don't tell them what to do. We don't judge them for the choices they do make. We simply give clients the right to make their own choices and decisions. So read the box 2.3 in your chapter and reflect on some of those questions regarding providing services to Tina and how that would be challenging in some areas. We also empower our clients. It requires skillful intervention of social workers in order to truly empower people. Providing knowledge can be a fundamental ingredient to helping empowerment occur. And another practice behavior is that of confidentiality. Trust is the essence to our helping relationships, and we can only do that when clients feel like they can trust us and that their information will be held confidential and they have a right to privacy. So look in the table of contents in D2L, or in Revel, on the top side of the screen, and if you look at the very end of your book, there is an Appendix C, which includes some practice tool examples, such as the consent form and a release of information form. So check both of those out if you're not currently in a practice setting, so you can kind of see what it looks like. Your book also talks about Hipaa and privileged communication, and Appendix B in Revel. So again, scroll to the very end. There's some very detailed information about Hipaa. It's important that as a social worker you know that. I also want to mention that all of the things, both our values and our practice behaviors, apply at levels of practice. Micro, which would be serving individuals and families and groups. Meso is working with agencies and organizations, and then macro is working with communities and a large society. Then, as social workers, as I mentioned, putting everything together, we utilize the person and environment. We must consider a person's environment and interactions as a part of our providing services. Social work practice is the application of social work values to helping relationships with individuals, families, groups, organizations, and communities in the context of evidence-based social work theories, models, and interventions. NASW, in addition to our Code of Ethics, as our professional organization, has developed standards of practice. And so there are 14 different practice standards. So you can look at the socialworkers.org website, which is our NASW website, and look at some of those practice standards in different areas of practice. So if you're interested in the area of mental health, there are practice standards specific to mental health. If you're interested in working with older adults, there are practice standards specific to older adults, and your book talks a little about that. Then we have this notion called ethic of care, and this is a theoretical framework that looks at things like equality, avoiding sweeping generalizations, and being responsive. And there's some information about what that would look like in application to a case. Then, because of all of the standards that we have for practice, we oftentimes find ourselves confronting ethical dilemmas where there's a conflict between two or more standards, or how do we meet the standard and be responsive to our organization while also still serving our clients. For example, I provided this in the PowerPoint. The state of Oklahoma has legalized the use of medical marijuana. Some of the students I'm supervising in the field were sharing with me that parents can get a prescription for smoking medical marijuana for their children who have ADHD. And some of the schools in Oklahoma have actually developed a smoking area in which parents can bring the prescription, the marijuana, and supervise their children smoking it. That's an ethical dilemma if you're a social worker in that school. Then there is a model of how we go about resolving ethical dilemmas, and there's an ethical decision-making hierarchy. It's been well used extensively over the years. There's also kind of a flow chart of asking questions, making choices and decisions in order to resolve ethical dilemmas. Bottom line is, we are a profession dedicated to social justice and empowerment of all people. We apply our social work values on an ongoing basis, and it's oftentimes a challenge in changing times in society. But we want to focus and recognize success in order to keep ourselves going. Hope you all are continuing to learn and grow through this course. Hi students, this is the after a Friday breakfast service look that I have. Hair's pulled up, head on apron. I smell like bacon. Sorry you don't have a sensory perception through the iPad. Anyway, I'm going to do a little quick video over Chapter 3. I'm working on getting caught up, so you will not be getting these towards the end of the week, but the beginning of the week. So Chapter 3 is about theories. I have sent you an email, and it's in D2L. You all have each been assigned a theory or a theory framework. There's lots. So don't get too concerned if you can't find there is no magic article that's going to be on your assigned theory. Books are a good source of kind of overall, but that's not what you're supposed to cite. So your assignments this week is to do that was one of my cats jumping up on the couch. Your assignment was to do a PowerPoint with at least 15 slides that are overviewing your assigned theory. And then the articles you found, do a reference page that is correct APA. So 2 assignments for this week. Goal is to give you an overview of theory, so you'll have your theory as well as your classmates' theories, and then also to continue to give you some practice and feedback on correct APA formatting. So I'm making references to the PowerPoint. And to be an effective general social worker, you've got to be grounded in a broad range of theories. So basically, the theories help direct our practice approaches that we use in a given situation. Practice theories are basically a body of knowledge that's been empirically tested and shown to be effective. Theory guides your action to practice. It's evidence of effectiveness that becomes the standard of accountability, and that practice usually requires to employ multiple theories when working with a client. We call that the eclectic approach. I love that word, eclectic. So you want to be able to have a broad range of theories. So think about this as being tools in your toolbox. You want a broad range of theories in your toolbox to be able to work effectively with clients. So, for example, in the PowerPoint, your client is Susie, and you could use the person and environment theory to understand the complexity of her life, then use the psychodynamic theory to understand her low self-esteem, then use crisis theory to provide the counseling after the rape that she's experienced and the trauma, and then use grief therapy to help her through the recovery process. So you're drawing from all these theories in order to help your client recover and heal. Along those same lines, all of your classes this semester all use theories. So Social Work 511 Hipaa, which is one of my favorite classes to teach, you're having that with Dr. Ben May. There's lots of theories throughout Hipaa because those help guide our understanding of human behavior and the social environment. Then Dr. Smith is teaching you about diversity and cultural understanding. There are theories that guide that. And then Dr. Judd is teaching you about research, and there are theories underlying different kinds of approaches to empirical research. So lots of different ways. So you're going to be putting all of this together. There may be some overlap. That's a good thing. If something sounds familiar in one class, you're like, oh, I had that in my other class. That's a good thing. Okay. Your book organizes the theories into 4 overall categories. There is nothing magical about how these theories are categorized or listed. I've included a handout. Sorry, I'm going to get down because my cat knocked them off. I'm going to email you a handout called, it's backwards for you now, Techniques and Guidelines for Social Work Practice. It is a long PDF document, about 60 pages, but it's got a great overview. In the past, I've required students actually purchase that book. It provides an overview of some of the theories. I've had to Xerox it and scan it, so they're not all the pages are very clear, but if you're looking for a little help or guidance, that may be a supportive way for you to go. So, psychodynamic theories. Start with good old Sigmund Freud. Initially linked all of our current functioning to some kind of a past trauma, usually related to our childhood, id, ego, superego, y'all remember Freud. Focuses on gaining insights that can result in personality changes within the client. Then cognitive behavioral theories is that other broad category, and there's a number of theorists. It is an integration of both cognitive theories and behavioral theories. Behavioral theory is basically learning theory and classical conditioning theory. Pavlov's dog, ring the bell, the dog salivates. Y'all remember that from sociology, or maybe psychology. CBT, cognitive behavior therapy, integrates the role of cognition and focuses primarily on the here and now. It is a belief that dysfunctional behaviors and thinking patterns can be unlearned. That's our goal. Humanistic theories focus on what it means to be human and being able to maximize being human. Emphasizing our humanity for the good, emphasizes the therapeutic relationship, unconditional positive regard. There's not judgment. It's a lot of reflective listening, active listening. And then postmodern theories believe that reality is subjective and open to interpretation. Therapeutic approaches that privilege the interpretation of the client's reality at the expense of others is not okay. So in other words, if this is your reality, this is your reality, and that's what we're going to go with. We're going to work from there. This approach to practice tends to disregard labeling and mental health diagnosis, such as the DSM-4. Instead, it regards the subjective interpretation. Then your book also talks about meta frameworks, which are overall kind of overarching theories. These provide an overview for our social work practice. So one of the biggest ones, and you're talking about it in Hipaa, is called systems theory. It is grounded in the biological sciences and basically has been used in other components. It says that systems as a whole are made up of interconnecting parts or subsystems. Your Hipaa text provides a great list of a lot of the different terminology that's used. Try applying the systems theory in your book in box 3A to a 21-year-old named Justin. Another component is ecological perspectives. This is very, very important in social work. It's consistent with the person and environment, PIE perspective. It borrows from both ecology and provides concrete ways for understanding the integral role of the environment in the system. So look at all the terms in box 3.3 of your book. The life model is an approach that doesn't focus on clients' deficits, but on life processes and client strengths. In other words, life happens. It seeks to use interventions that restore and enhance relationship, self-esteem, and self-direction. And then one of the last ones is the strengths perspective. This is essential in social work, and it's consistent with our core values that we talked about in Chapter 2. It emphasizes the inherent worth and minimizes the deficit or problem approach. Look at box 3.4 and 3.5 for more examples. Then, using the strengths perspective, also consider the cultural strengths and components of your client. Next week, Chapter 4, we're going to talk a lot more about cultural understanding, but it's important to reframe some of the larger cultural perspectives of cultural deficits into a strengths perspective. The empowerment-based practice model is part of our historical tradition and roots from our settlement house movement, where we talked about Jane Addams. It's activating clients' internal powers and viewing them as having reservoirs of latent power waiting to be awakened. I love that phrase. It includes helping clients attain personal, interpersonal, and political power. Again, your book has a great case study, number 6, that talks about Lois and Kim and ways that they work on using an empowerment-based model. So, in summary, effective social workers use evidence-based practice supported by a wide range of theories, perspectives, and models. We're also guided by these meta-theories, systems, ecological perspectives, strengths-based perspectives, and then clients' problems, values, and cultures and belief systems influence how we select, employ, and apply those various theories. So it's a very dynamic, interactive process. So I hope you don't get too bogged down in the term theory and have fun kind of finding a little bit about your theory. I will be giving you feedback. I loved having the audio component on the gradebook. So if I'm able to, for grading these assignments, hope to be able to do that again and give you all some feedback, both on the content of your PowerPoint and on your reference page. So good luck. Have a great weekend.